Track Record with your hosts Mike Shea and Robert Yetter. Brought to you by Eventide Entertainment.
Hello everyone, welcome to Track Record. My name is Robert Yetter.
My name is Mike Shea.
And we have our first non-diarrhea blanket episode for you today. And we hope you enjoy.
A lot less shitting in this episode.
Yes. So last week we had Baby Metal by Baby Metal, and we had that one Five Finger Death Punch album that I've already forgotten that it exists.
The Wrong Side of Heaven, Volume 1.
That's right. I do have a few more chest hairs after that, but it's about actually all I have to show for it.
In the car today, I said to my sister, I said, "Hey, you want to hear the weirdest song in the world?" He said, "Sure." So I played her "Gimme Chocolate." She that's one of my favorite ones. She's a 14-year-old girl that listens to Lindsey Sterling. She didn't know what to think.
Well, Lindsey Sterling does, like she did, I believe it was a Legend of Zelda video.
Yeah.
So she's pretty versed with the nerddom.
I love Lindsey Sterling. I'm a marry that woman one day.
She is a star.
Yeah, man.
No denying.
But this is last week was pretty brutal from both ends. You know,
yeah.
kind of ran a train on both of those albums. So this is, I think, going to be a finally a more positive week.
Yes, I cannot wait. I'm going to go first today.
Okay.
And so, well, it's like we've done before. You go ahead and tell me what you gave me for this week, Mike.
Okay. So for this week, we the theme for this week's show, we're trying themes now.
Ah, yes.
Trying out some themes. So we wanted to go this week for albums with what we thought had some of the best lyricism in terms of creativity and emotionality and other words that I'm going to add a itty to the end of it. And so for this week, I gave Robert probably one of my favorite concept albums ever, which was by Judas Priest, called Nostradamus. And I was really not sure what was going to happen with this one, so I can't wait to hear what Rob has to say about it.
Okay, and with that, we have Nostradamus by Judas Priest, came out in 2008. Okay, so that right there is a little telling of where the band is at in the time that they're making this album. Later in their career.
Oh yeah.
Now, like you said, it's a concept album, not just about the person Nostradamus, but about time, death, the future, prophecy, and lyrically it does reflect that a lot. Very, I want to say gothic for it. It's very kind of, I don't want to use the phrase over the top, but it's just like
very theatrical.
Theatrical, that's the word, right? And in general, the music was surprisingly, for me, very enjoyable. It's not really my style, that kind of what do you call heavy metal, right? Kind of one of the prime examples of a heavy metal, the older heavy metal, right?
Yeah.
But I love Rob's voice, and and I know that's your butt buddy there.
That's my butt buddy.
And
love me some Rob Halford, man.
And that too was surprising for me that I garnered such enjoyment from his voice, because that singing style is not always something that I have enjoyed, and it is very theatrical, and it's perfect for the themes of the album. And the instrumentation too on the album was beautiful, for the most part. And that's going to be the crux of this album, is that phrase, for the most part, on most of the songs. You can tell the musicians are talented, right? And they took their time in coming up with interesting pieces on most of the songs. And again, I stress that. But you could tell, and this is something that other critics have come to this conclusion as well, is that a lot of the songs are filler music. They stretch the album so thin, because it's such a... Okay, this album spans... Where did I write this down? It's 103 minutes. Okay, so a typical album these days is 50 minutes, right?
Give or take.
You could even say...
hour tops.
You could say an hour tops, right?
Yeah.
So... This is... And to take that theme, and they don't really expand on the theme as much as I would have liked. You know, there are moments of the of getting into the time and the death side of things, like I said, but really a lot of the lyrics focused on like just generic lines about Nostradamus, like, you know, how many times you're going to sing the line to the effect of "I see the future." You know, I needed some substance behind it. And in that vein, a lot of the lyrics were generic to me, kind of. But that goes with the theatrics of it, I guess, and so it still works, right? But they shouldn't have made as much music as they did. You know, it was a double album. It should have just been a single album, you know, cut it down to 60 minutes and be done with it, because there was some filler in there. There was nothing to me that was expanded too far out of the comfort zone of a typical Judas Priest. But I think that more experimentation and exploration in songwriting would have fit the themes surrounding the record better. Like I said, they didn't really jump out of their comfort zone too much. But an album like this, I think that only Judas Priest could pull it off this way. The musicians and Rob, his lyrics and his voice, it culminates to something pretty special for most of the album. And I say that again. Okay, so some of my favorite songs were Revelations, Prophecy, Four Horsemen, but I wanted to talk about my absolute favorite song, and I don't believe any other Judas Priest song sounds like this, because it's more like essentially a doom metal song, and it's a song called Death.
Yes! That's my favorite song on the album.
Yeah, it's just because that one is totally outside of their comfort zone, right? It's a slow-moving doom metal song, and it's great.
It's haunting.
Yeah, when it's in the bridge where he does the voice raising, like and then he goes into the messenger of death. It's amazing, and I've been rocking out to that shit hardcore. Now I have a suggestion. You remember episode 1 of Track Record, this very show, in which we talked about Thy Art is Murder?
Yes.
You imagine that song with some scream vocals from CJ from Thy Art is Murder in there. Can you imagine how much cream would come dripping out of the sides of your underwear. It would be so amazing.
I'm gonna need you to stop. My dick can only get so hard right now. Okay,
Yeah,
like
mine's
oh, man.
mine's unfolding as we speak. If all Judas Priest songs were like that, Judas Priest would be in my top, because it's just everything culminated, and when they did it in that doom style, it was so amazing. So what else is there? What more is there to say? I mean, I liked it, but it was just too much. And so for that, I give it a I'm going to bump it to, you know what, just for the song Death, I'm going to bump it to 3 out of 4 purple stars.
All right.
I originally it was 2, but,
Death, man, that's a song, man.
So good.
This was an album that it wasn't their most popular album. After it came out, if you look back at their set lists, the most they ever played off of the album was Prophecy and Death.
Yeah.
It was the only 2 songs they ever played live. They were opening with Prophecy up until a couple of years ago when they put out a new album, but and now they don't play anything off of it at all.
Yeah, I mean, why would they? They have plenty of other material to choose from.
Well, yeah, I mean, Nostradamus alone was their 16th album, so.
Wow.
But with this album, I will say, like, it is listening to the album beginning to end is a commitment. For me, I usually reserve the full album for like long car rides. Otherwise, I pick my favorites and just kind of put them on the phone or the iPod. But Death is one of those. They were the headliner of the 2008 Wacken Festival over in Germany.
Okay,
which is like the metal festival in Europe.
Yeah.
And they played Death, and you can find the video online, and it just sends a shiver up my spine every time I watch it or listen to that song. That is just one of the best Priest songs, because they really, like you said, you could tell they were playing it safe, but also trying to go outside of their comfort zone at the same time.
Right.
Like they really weren't sure how to do it, because this is the same band who made a career out of songs like Breaking the Law and Hellbent for Leather.
Yeah.
And this was this was a departure into things like, this is like a weird combination, like you said, of like doom metal, symphonic metal, a lot of just you've got songs like War, which, War is not my favorite song on the album, but the fact that it's just straight drums and orchestration.
Yeah. And
it's this operatic piece. It is long. One of the things I like, because there was a lot of like 1 to 2 minute like segue pieces. Because for the most part, because it's a 23 track album, both parts together, and I think probably 20 of the 23 flow into each other seamlessly.
Yeah.
I think there's like one or two times they straight up break. But I think at the same time, like, it's a lot, and if you take out that filler stuff, I think you'd have a more cohesive, condensed album by itself.
Mm-hmm.
But I also look at this as like, I got to give them props for the attempt, because especially back in 2008, metal bands weren't doing this kind of thing. They weren't doing the kind of artsy passion projects like this.
Yeah, definitely not. No, a huge undertaking.
Now in 2014, 2013, 2014, I can count like 6 bands that did this at the same time. It was Stone Sour, Coheed, Death Punch, and a couple others all put out like double concept albums, and it was like, okay, there's a trend. Somebody rediscovered Nostradamus and was like, I want to do that.
Angels and Airwaves, Love.
Oh yeah, that's right. They did that one. So it's become a popular thing now for bands to do these like bigger passion projects like this. But I remember I played this album for somebody at one point, and they were like, "Who the hell is that?" And I said, "That's Priest." And they're like, "When the hell did Priest put this out?" I'm like, 2008, but nobody listened to it. It just kind of flew under the radar for the most part.
Yeah, but going with the theme of this episode, I don't think that it stands up to the great lyricism portion of.
Really?
It's not my style. Like I said, it's too safe and generic. I don't know how else to put it.
See, I in terms of like other things I've heard, I'm inclined to agree, because I mean, like, I listen to stuff like Camelot, where they do stuff like this, with a hand tie behind their back.
Yeah.
Or Coheed, who's made an entire career out of this kind of thing.
Yeah.
But when I look at who the band is, the fact that it's Judas Priest, who's just known for, breaking the law, and stuff like that. To me, it's more of like the fact that band was able to do what they did with this.
I understand that, and
they also, because they could have picked somebody like Jesus or Gandhi or some other more like I hate to say, I hate this word so much, but more like a mainstream philosophical figure. And they went with Nostradamus, who for the most part, is not if I were to say the name Nostradamus in a crowded room, I could probably count on one hand how many people would know who the hell I was talking about.
Yeah, it's not a very well-known figure there. For probably in this day, because all of his prophecies should have already happened, I believe. What was the last one that it was something about the Antichrist, I think,
because he was the
9/11.
And the whole thing about like the album tackles, like he's the one who came up with the concept of the four horsemen: war, pestilence, plague, and death. I forget. I studied. I took a whole class on him in college, and now I sound like a real douchebag. I took an entire philosophy class on Nostradamus when I was in college.
That's okay. I went to college too, Mike.
I went to college. But he's a lot. But like a lot of people don't. There's a lot of concepts about like the end of the world and stuff that a lot of folks don't attribute to him that were kind of his thing to begin with.
Okay, yeah.
That other people kind of took and made their own, and kind of were a bit more well received than he was. Because Nostradamus, everybody thought he was just a whack job, which it is.
Yeah,
it is,
I don't know how he came to his own personal demise, but I'm sure it was a hanging or something.
It's something like that, I'm sure.
Blasphemer.
I'm curious what you thought of the album cover.
Let me look at it again. So the Nostradamus album cover, I really like. It's now that I'm looking at it, it's really trippy.
And again, like if you look at their,
he's got like orange glowing eyes.
Yeah. If you look at like their older album art, I mean, it's just it right down to the picture, the cover art. It's so different from, what you usually would see from them, because a lot of their album art is like, a motorcycle, it's just fire, things like that. Just modified text. What's cool is if you look at the album artwork, kind of around the borders, you can see like the essences of like demons and souls and stuff like that kind of floating around him.
Oh yeah, fuck
yeah. But I it's one of my favorite album covers, I think.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's well done.
So, but yeah, so three stars, 3 purple stars.
Yeah, because what the hell. The diarrhea's dried up.
I'm all out of poop.
No more shit to give. With that, rebuttal from Mike and a little conversation there. Let's take a break.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, I will talk about the album that Rob gave me, and we'll go forward from there.
You know, there's nothing quite as satisfying as a good conversation with intelligent company.
Join comedian Don Smith every week as he sits down and talks with comedians, actors, filmmakers, writers, and everyday schmoes. It's The Life with Don Smith, Wednesdays at noon on 106.9 FM, and now available on the Eventide Entertainment podcast feed every Friday on Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes.
Nerd Versus, Mondays at 9 a.m. on the Eventide Entertainment podcast feed.
Are you into making music, videos, or podcasts? Are you a local comedic talent in need of some much-needed publicity? Are you a behind-the-scenes professional interested in audio-video production, graphic design, and public relations? Eventide Entertainment is actively seeking talents, clients, and professionals to help our business grow into something truly special. And we want you to be one of those. For more information, go to facebook.com/Eventide Entertainment or send us an email at eventideent@gmail.com. Hey guys, welcome back to Track Record. We just heard Robert's take on the album Nostradamus by Judas Priest. Gave it a solid 3 out of 4 purple stars, making it the highest ranked album to date on Track Record thus far.
That's right.
So, Rob, why don't you tell the good folks at home a little bit about the album you gave me for this week?
Okay. Now, again, our theme was best lyricism. And so what I gave you was pretty much the highest example that I could ever think of, and I hold this album in very high regard, just in general, not even just the lyricism, but everything about it I love and I cream over again and again. It's called I'm Wide Awake It's Morning by Bright Eyes. And for anyone who knows me personally, knows that I pretty much learned to play music because of Bright Eyes. And, you know, I learned how to play every song on Fevers and Mirrors, learned how to play every song on Lifted, learned how to play 90% of the songs on I'm Wide Awake It's Morning, and so that's really how I came into writing music, actually. So it's very special to me, and I'm very honored that Mike says that he didn't shit on it. Just a little thing about it. It came out in 2005, and it was actually, I guess, another theme of this is the kind of the double album. It was released with another album called Digital Ash and a Digital Urn by Bright Eyes, and I can't remember if they were released like a week apart or something like that, or a month apart, but they were both in 2005. Great stuff, Mike. I can't wait to see what you think. All right, lay it on me.
Well, first to answer your question, they were actually released on the same day.
Okay, very good.
They were both released on January 25th, 2005, about 2 weeks after my birthday.
Very good.
So I only listened, now just to be clear, I only listened to I'm Wide Awake It's Morning.
That's fine.
And not Digital Ash.
Mm-hmm.
So this is first of all, this is you say that this is an album that is, you know, or a band even, that is the reason that you're a musician. And as someone who is a fan of Robert's music, check out Citizen 7, ladies and gentlemen, on Eventide Entertainment. I can hear the influence.
Yep.
It's there. Listening to the album, I was like, oh, this is Bobby. Like, it's like I'm listening to another version of Citizen 7's music. The influence was very clear. So with this, and this is something that, because outside of like Citizen 7 and some of the other artists we have at Eventide, this is really out of my wheelhouse. And I listen to a lot of different stuff. Most of what I listen to is metal. I mean, the vast majority of it is.
Right.
But, I also listen to, Imagine Dragons. I also listen to Chris Stapleton.
No, you don't.
I also listen to, what, you don't like Imagine Dragons?
Continue.
I listen to a lot. I listen to Lana Del Rey. I listen to...
Oh, yeah. Oh, her new album? Oh, my God.
Oh, I love me some Lana.
Yeah.
I listen to Lindsey Sterling. I listen to a lot of stuff. So this album wasn't far off from the kind of things that I listened to. Again, I listened to stuff like Citizen 7, Ryan Adams, things like that. So, the album, the band, really, Bright Eyes, is pretty much championed by Connor Oberst, who does, good lord, like everything. He's the guitarist, he's the singer, he does keyboards, he does bass. But it seems like all the guys in the band are like that. They all play a little bit of everything. The album itself opens with a monologue, a story being told that slowly works its way into the first song at the bottom of everything. There were definitely, one thing I noticed right off the bat, some very clear social commentary going on, which, from what I've read, is kind of a theme with a lot of their stuff, which I'm a fan of. I love social commentary. I know one line that stood out to me a lot was, we memorize 9 numbers and deny we have a soul, and this endless race for property and privilege to be won we must run. The first part of that, especially the whole we memorize 9 numbers and deny we have a soul thing, which, from what I understand, that's an allusion to Social Security numbers.
Yeah.
Right? Like, okay. I was like, I don't know what other 9 numbers I have memorized. My phone number's 10, so 11 if it's long distance. So, the first song, when the first thing you hear is a guy sipping a drink and telling a story before the song even starts, I'm hooked, because I love a good story, so I want to hear the story. The great thing about the stuff on this album is, one of the things I look for when I listen to a song is I want to see something in my mind. Whatever it is, I don't care, but I want the song to paint a picture in my head of something. If it's not doing that, if it's not generating some kind of image in my head, I tend to tune out. I'm not as captured. Mm-hmm. Every song on this album painted a picture for me. Some more vivid than others. Some more enjoyable than others. At the Bottom of Everything is definitely a song I liked a lot. As was the second track, We Are Nowhere and It's Now. We Are Nowhere and It's Now. Another Traveling song was good. There was not a song on here that I went, oh wow, that's not good. There were just a few that I liked. It wasn't a matter of which ones are good and bad. It was which ones are good, which ones are better, is what it came down to. I don't love his vocal style. I like it. I don't love it. The kind of weird, half talking, half sing-songy. I don't know. It almost like his tone of voice was a little bit nasally. Like, and that's just, I checked out some of his older stuff too, and that's just his singing style, and that's fine because it works for the style they do. But he just always seemed like he had a little bit of a stuffy nose when he was singing. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. But yeah, it painted. Now the one comparison I kept drawing to it though, and maybe it's because I just binged the whole series again for like the 8th time. I don't know. But there's an episode of Rick and Morty where they're transporting this cloud that they just call Fart.
Okay.
And Fart has this superpower or whatever to mind control people by basically sending them through this acid trippy David Bowie-esque singer-songwriter song called Goodbye Moon Men.
Mm-hmm.
And there were times where it was like, I feel like this is an album that was written by Fart. And that just happens to be his name. I'm not saying the album was a fart, but I feel like it was written by like Fart the Cloud. Had he not met the end that he did in the episode.
This could be taken so much out of context that
just go when you have a chance. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go on YouTube and just type in Rick and Morty Moon Men and listen to the song, and you'll probably I hope you'll hear what I'm hearing. And it wasn't like every song was like, okay, is this some weird sci-fi acid trip? No, but there were just a couple times where it was like, okay, I'm kind of lost in a daze and just like not sure what I'm supposed to be feeling or seeing here. It wasn't a bad thing. It was just a couple times it was like, okay, yeah, this is a song that fits the mold of the album. But there were others that I felt were really solid. Again, like At the Bottom of Everything. Another traveling song was good. Road to Joy. Road to Joy was solid. I like that one. All in all, and I looked it up online of just how many musicians were involved in the making of this album. Holy crap. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's like 15 musicians involved on this album. In some subtle or not so subtle way. And to see that many talented people kind of come together and collaborate different styles. Maybe the reason I felt that way about certain songs was just that combination of musicians. Because basically every song, other than Connor, every song had a different combination of drummers, mandolins, trumpets, bass, singers, harmonicas. At one point I heard a vibraphone. So maybe that could be what it is. Just that one combination just hit me a different way. But all in all things considered. Oh, and lyrically, like that's where the painting of the picture came from. Was I'd hear the lyrics and I could just visualize vividly what it was he was describing, what it was he was commentating on, what story he was telling. The dude is a fantastic storyteller. Like I want him to write books for me to read. Not long books. I don't have a lot of free time, but books. He can write the sequel to Goodnight Moon or something. I don't know, but he needs to write a Rick and Morty episode. I want him to write a Rick and Morty episode.
Oh,
like
that would be really weird.
I just got myself turned on. So yeah, from a lyrical standpoint, I thought the album was, it did what I wanted it to do. It took me on a trip. It took me on a journey. It showed me the world, and the arrangement was great. The combinations of musicians was good. Like I said, there was just a couple of songs I felt were a little too generic for my taste, or just a little kind of, okay, yeah, this is a song. Let's go to the next one. Mm-hmm. And there were times where his voice just felt a little congested, like he needed to go take some Dayquil or something. But all in all, I think we're tied today. I'm gonna give it a solid 3. I got to give it a 3.
Oh yeah,
a nice firm young 3 stars out of 4.
Oh, lots of boners in this episode.
Lots of sexual tension in this episode, man.
It's kind of strange with just 2 men looking at each other on the internet, but it's cool.
Talking about songs and
yeah. Okay, stop.
So
stop.
Let me
it's getting a little. Oh, it's unfolding the other way now.
So let me hear your rebuttal, man. Let me hear what you got to say.
Well, I mean, as obviously I'm a huge fan. I'm a much bigger fan than you are, and I always have been, and so I hold the lyricism, especially in this album, as like the number one, right? And I can pretty much recite every single lyric through the whole album. Fun fact about this album, though, is when I first was decided that I wanted to get into Bright Eyes, this was the first album that I ever bought of theirs. And
wow.
And I was like, what the hell is this? This is country music. Like, what? And but then I purchased an older one of his albums, and it had less of that country vibe to it, but then the lyricism grabbed me, right? That was Fevers and Mirrors, one of his first ones. And then I went back to it, and it just, compared to the rest of his albums, this I'm Wide Awake It's Morning has the most, it's prolific to me. I don't know how else to put it. And it's very affecting and moving. And I did want to comment on what you thought about his voice.
Okay.
Because this is something that a lot of people have trouble getting through when they're listening to his music. Early on, it was a lot. It's whiny. It's a whiny voice, right?
I hate using the term whiny because it inherently has a negative connotation. But
yeah,
I mean, it works. It's not quite crooner-ish. He's not quite crooning, but yeah, it's a groan or a whine. I hate using that word, but it fits. So I guess,
he's kind of channeled it more these days. If you listen to any of his newer stuff, and that comes with growth as a musician. Conor Oberst has been on a record label since he was 15, I believe. And just, with a bunch of different bands early on, but I'm glad that you liked it.
I did, man. I really
it does my heart good.
And it's one of those things. I'm glad we did this because Bright Eyes is a band I've heard the name of from working in radio for 10 years. And I've heard kind of in the background, but have never taken the time to delve into it.
You've probably heard me play one of their songs live.
I would bet money I have.
But it blends in so well with my own shit, so sometimes it's hard to notice.
It does, and so when you said that at the beginning, because I didn't know that about you, actually. I don't know how, but I didn't. But when you said that, it kind of clicked in my head like, yeah, okay, all the clues are coming together.
Hey.
So yeah, man, it was
cool.
It was very clear. I said 3 out of 4, man. I dug it a lot. I couldn't go quite to 4. I don't know. There was something. I wanted a little bit more of something. I'm not sure what, but I just. My appetite did not feel satiated.
Okay, that's fair enough, man. It's all good.
Maybe if I hear this part 2, the second part, the second album, maybe.
Well,
I'll have to check that out.
That is pretty much like a 180 album, whereas I'm Wide Awake It's Morning is very structured and cogent. Digital Ash and a Digital Urn is more like, it's kind of like Conor Oberst's Kid A, right? It's very experimental, like he was messing around in the studio and just like made this album. There are moments of brilliance. Some of my all-time favorite lyrics from him are from Digital Ash and a Digital Urn, but overall as an album it's not as amazing as I'm Wide Awake.
What are some ones of his that you've played the most, or your favorite ones to play live?
I always used to do. What's that song? It's been so long. A song called Laura Laurent.
That sounds familiar. I feel like that's one I've seen you play.
That's the one where I have the crowd sing along with me at the end. We just do a bunch of la 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 la's.
Yep. Okay, I know exactly the one you're talking about now.
Yeah. I like to do that one a lot. So.
Okay.
I'll try and throw that one in there in a set,
I dig it,
just
man.
for good measure. I like to get the crowd involved.
Otherwise, what's the point? I mean, if you're not going to get them involved.
No, they love it.
Why are you there?
They all turn red and they're like, I don't know. What is...
Oh, stop. I don't want to.
Fuck this guy, really, but whatever. I was having a really hard time deciding what I wanted you to listen to next.
I picked a category, and I'm kind of regretting picking that category.
So the category that Mike picked was best debut album from a band or an artist in general. And it was really hard. Did you pick one? You have something for me?
I did, and it's from a band that I know you like, but I'm not sure how far back into their catalog you've gone.
Oh, okay.
And seeing where they are now, I want to compare that to where they started.
Okay.
Okay. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah. Lay it on me.
So
lay it on me
the debut album that I want you to do is called The Phantom Agony by Epica.
Oh. Sweet.
I know you like Epica. I don't know how, again, far back into the catalog you've gone.
Not that far.
Not that far.
No.
This one came out in 2003.
Okay.
So I want to see you go back to where it all started with these guys, and I want you to experience it, because you'll be experiencing it for the first time the way the album was intended as their debut album.
I will. That's going to be amazing. I can't wait.
What do you got for me?
For you, I have, and this was the first one that came to mind, and I just stuck with it because I couldn't think of anything else. It's an album called Deloused in the Comatorium by the Mars Volta.
Okay, the Mars Volta, Deloused in the Crematorium?
Comatorium.
Comatorium. I can't words today. Okay. All right. That, again, Mars Volta, like, it's one of those bands working in radio, has always existed in the back of my mind, never delved into.
Yeah. That was their debut full-length album, and it stands up to the rest of their work for sure.
I should specify, we're talking full-length albums here, guys. We're not talking about like debut demos and shit like that. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
You ever heard of bands' early first demos? They're all shit.
Oh God. If I ever released like the shit that I recorded when I was 16,
God, oh man,
people would stone me. It's a witch.
Just bobbing his guitar. Just, I have a friend. He bought me some cigarettes.
Oh man, I remember high school so well.
Jesus, I've tried to repress as much of it as I can.
I remember because I was 18 in my senior year, and so all the little 15 and 16-year-old kids would be like, Can you buy some smokes for me, man? And I'd be like, I'll give you two cigarettes for $1.
You guys want to smoke some cigarettes? Hey, it's not illegal, dude. It's fine. Yes, I want to smoke a cigarette.
Yeah.
It's like when I was still working in radio and going to the bars every week with the radio station, the guys would be like, hey man, hey, you want to smoke some pot? Yeah, it's not that illegal. Okay, it's illegal, but like it's not that illegal.
Yeah. That's all right. Some people are just scared.
We're looking up dirty words in the dictionary.
Marijuana.
All right, so Mars Volta for me and Epica for you.
Oh, that's going to be a glorious episode. I cannot wait.
It's going to be a great episode, man.
Okay, so I just want to disclaimer, there's still going to be a diarrhea blanket. We're going to market that, and even though this episode wasn't that, and next episode probably won't be, there will be more diarrhea blankets in the future. So, audience, rest assured, we'll have some fucking brown-colored ass, shit-ass stained blankets for you here in the future. Don't you worry.
Yeah, this was a fluke, ladies and gentlemen. They're not all gonna be gems like today. It's not gonna be a love fest every week. There's gonna be some weeks where it's like, fuck you and fuck your album. Okay.
Yeah.
There will be a day where we feel personally attacked by the album we were assigned.
Either way, it's excretions. Either way.
But it makes for good. I keep wanting to say good radio. It makes for good podcasting.
Yes, it does.
All right. Well, I think we've got a show. Robert.
Sounds good.
So I'm gonna close every. I think I've done that coincidentally every week now. I'm gonna close every week. I think we've got a show.
Oh, sounds good.
All right,
like it.
Cool. Guys, if you want to know more about us, check us out online at eventideent.com. You get all the info on this podcast, all the other great podcasts on this channel. You can get links to all of our social media, our YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all that jazz. Announcements about what's going on with us. We've got new stuff in the works coming up pretty soon here. By the time this show airs, we'll have had meetings. And we'll be dropping some news and knowledge on you guys coming up here quick.
That's right. Remember, if you want to contact us on Twitter, it's hashtag Gary Busey, as always. That doesn't change.
And, man, and it's the beginning of the month, so there'll be a new episode of Eventide News dropping here this in the next few days at some point as well. Once we've got everything finalized, that's the monthly show where I jump on a mic and just say, hey guys, here's all the fun stuff we have going on today, and it's like 2 minutes long. But it's important stuff.
Groovy.
All right. That's our show for this week. We will be back here again next Thursday at 9 a.m. sharp with our thoughts on Epica and the Mars Volta's debut albums here on Track Record. My name is Mike Shea.
And I am Robert Yetter. Farewell.
We will see you guys next week.